Several allies of the United States have expressed unease at Washington's decision to supply Ukraine with cluster bombs. Opposing the decision, now we have UK, Canada, New Zealand and Spain, at least 4 countries that have opposed the use of cluster bombs. Remember, the United States confirmed it was sending the controversial weapons to Ukraine, with President Joe Biden calling it a very difficult decision. Remember, cluster bombs have been banned by more than 100 countries because of the danger they pose to civilians. Meanwhile, reacting to the US's decision to supply Ukraine with these cluster munitions, Russia's foreign ministry has said that it is nothing but an act of desperation that will have no effect on Moscow's campaign in Ukraine.
By providing Ukraine with DPICM artillery ammunition, we will ensure that the Ukrainian military has sufficient artillery ammunition for many months to come. In this period, the United States, our allies and partners, will continue to ramp up our defense industrial bases to support Ukraine. For the past year and a half, President Biden has been clear that we will support Ukraine for as long as it takes.
Well, the UK is signatory to a convention which prohibits the production or use of cluster munitions and discourages their use. We will continue to do our part to support Ukraine against Russia's illegal and unprovoked invasion. We've done that by providing heavy battle tanks and most recently long-range weapons, and hopefully all countries can continue to support Ukraine. Russia's act of barbarism is causing untold suffering to millions of people. It's right that we collectively stand up to it, and I'll be heading off to the NATO summit next week in Vilnius, where we will be discussing exactly this with our allies, how we can strengthen our support for Ukraine.
Sanjay Suri, my colleague, joining us live, getting us more details of what exactly is transpiring there. Now, Sanjay, this is a controversial decision as far as the cluster munitions go. How is that going to fare for Ukraine? Because many who were standing with Ukraine up until now are at an unease as far as the decision goes.
Well, they are expressing unease to the extent that the US has agreed to supply cluster munitions, but that is not to say that they will stop short of the support to Ukraine along the lines pledged and committed and delivered so far. That certainly will continue both militarily and politically. Cluster munitions are a particular issue, and there is a convention on cluster munitions that, as you were reporting, more than 100 countries have signed. It's a very dangerous weapon. It's fired from the air and scattered over the ground, and a lot of them remain unexploded for a very long time. The intentions of the Ukrainian military are, of course, clear. It is mines that are slowing down the Ukrainian advance, and what they want to do is similarly to deliver more and more mines. These, in effect, are mines delivered aerially, scattered over large areas, to make Russian movement very difficult. So that is the intention, but this is a very dangerous weapon. It is live for many, many years. Children are particularly vulnerable. They think these little shiny objects are toys. They pick them up. Iraq, we see that years and years after that war, cluster munitions that were dropped similarly have continued to kill, and that is why there is concern over this particular weapon.
Right, the concerns have been raised by multiple countries. Also the kind of narrative that has come to the fore. Russia says that the counteroffensive is failing, which is why this is a desperate measure that the United States and Ukraine have resorted to.
Well, it's certainly too early to say that it is failing. It certainly is slowing. It has been a very slow advance, and one of the principal reasons is that a lot of the areas in this these 4 oblasts that have been occupied by Russia have been very, very heavily mined. That is making movement of the Ukrainian military very, very slow and often quite lethal. There have been a number of injuries and deaths caused by this to advancing Ukrainian forces, and the intention clearly is to do the same on the other side. But it is not just mines that are slowing down the Ukrainians. They are short of tanks, short of armored personnel carriers, certainly short of air cover to make a very strong push against well-fortified positions. And while Ukraine has been given enough, clearly for Ukraine it is not enough to launch a convincing one-off delivery of a lethal blow to advance as fast and as far as they would like.